I harbor no grudge against anybody in respect of anything that has happened to me. As I've said before, I mean, they may have meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. I appealed against the judgment the very day that it was delivered, and I pursued that appeal. The pardon that was supposedly granted me is something that I rejected immediately. I rejected it because it was given in bad faith. And I think the court made it clear today that a pardon does not take away the jurisdiction of the court to determine on the merits of the case.
Lawyer Tsatsu Tsikata a strike era former President Kufuor. I mean, addressed President Kufuor in that way. Tsatsu Tsikata had a response. Kama pa former President John Agyekum Kufuor. I say during the days of Rawlings, Yera Tsikata play major and active role. Rawlings among man positions like I say GMPC, rice production, those kind of things. Now, not knowing say Kufuor was in opposition. Enya adwen bone against Tsatsu Tsikata. Enti Kufuor ye se kiane ken obedi president a kwan abosa ode Tsatsu Tsikata beko prison bia no ode ne beko. Ti president Kufuor be wene power na no starting process ode Tsatsu court na akwa establish a fast track high court. Tsatsu consider be fast track high court based on the constitution and the laws of Ghana no a illegal court. Na Kufuor appointed more judges no yesi afede da kudo kwesi da bako yete ho Tsatsu Tsikata te asoro de mana ya friends e masa Brian court kodu court a court say a sentence o prison na sa asem na court kwa yenkan miye yenkan nuru ba bia mo say da bi judge na say obu asem kodam Tsatsu Tsi oni option Tsatsu kodam pa nsebom about 6 months na president Kufuor say pardon no na Tsatsu say da bi pardon ne mempe pardon me da so ura when our president Ghana judiciary nyina ahye wonsa ba pardon no mani nje ho so Tsatsu Tsikata at a point record hospital, then he decided to come out, and then after that he decided to fight the case. At the end of the day Tsatsu win ye am I be clear say not knowing say former president Kufuor no wa money edit Tsatsu. That is why he decided to make sure say Tsatsu ebeko prison. Na no na Tsatsu ibisa Tsatsu say ura ade president Kufuor di ewunya no ufi say what the beche no say na me de Kufuor de na me way. So they know a president, and he decided to do what he wanted to do. So let's leave him like that. So why you mind? And then say if he thinks say I don't know no or the beko wua no anasem. No anasem me de mini ade bia editian na mum Kufuor ma opportunity to even go and learn more law. Won one prison because na minim say nipa bi dan sabom ga. Obi akwada over 10 years ni nasem da. Na me de me na me wa yon Kufuor they were ready to fight for my release from prison. It is a Kufuor no fee say ono de ne oye na yema na ono anasem. But the lesson learned in this and they say Ghana judiciary always I keep on asking this kind of question say a dear potintina president bi abe we ne power na as a judiciary ni nya no atuni to sa president no. Yamfa the current administration. Na do Dankwa Kufuor etna ho as president for 8 years. What the Assembly Court Supreme Court unanimous 7, unanimous 5, unanimous 11 no marry. Right after the NPP will lose to Abanape, as some corner, what are some from even similar NDC way. Sometimes I keep asking myself, so what is the problem in our society? Is this a nipane a tema and a name maybe why say, and as a be a president, he or she becomes so powerful, say, Ubia Suruno El Mino. Because when you look at lawyer Tsatsu Tsikata, the substance of Tsatsu Tsikata, Papa is how or tear. Even look at how Tsatsu quarter. He sometimes even teach the judges now what a communion or law court. And so former President Kufuor ulumai baby or in doing or who saw Papa Tsatsu Tsikata chow. Yes, can't obey in prison Tsatsu. Sometimes we need to learn this kind of lessons from how people behave or misbehave when they assume political power. Ebasa so amamumu no enkoye enti me de masua lesson from Tsatsu Tsikata na yenti Tsatsu nsema Tsatsu edebai.
Have you forgiven former President Kufuor?
Forgiven? There is nothing to forgive. In fact, you know what? You asked me this as the last question. I say to people that I never had any bitterness or any feeling of great grievance against President Kufuor. He did atrocious things against me personally for whatever reason. He was determined to have me in prison, and I did go to prison, orchestrated by him, on June 18, 2008, for 5 months. By God's grace, I didn't die in prison. I was evacuated to hospital, and, you know, by God's grace, I'm still alive. Now, he tried the last day of office to offer me a pardon. I rejected it because it was in bad faith. It was clearly in bad faith. He had orchestrated everything. The day that I was being sentenced, the court had not even announced that it was going to give a decision at the end of the trial, because the trial hadn't ended. There was something in the Supreme Court which needed to come back to all that was of no account. It had been set up for me to go to jail that day. I went to jail, and you know what? I actually thank God for that experience. I say to people that going to that Nsawam prison took me to another university, another faculty of law, because I engaged with many of those who were in the prison, and I realized that there were other people suffering injustices, you know, and who didn't have the kind of recourse that I had. I had the opportunity of a lawyer, a close friend of mine from my Legon days, who, you know, gave his all to stand up for my rights. A lot of those people didn't even have. I saw people who'd been in jail for 12 years. Nobody had gone to court on their behalf. So I counted myself privileged. And what is even more exciting?
But share a lot of lessons from Tsatsu Tsikata and say me. I want to say, Obi ya obane say ekura awode e fa che no. Na se nipa no oni nuhu a one ne nyankopon enko ne nyankopon.
I harbor no grudge against anybody in respect of anything that has happened to me. As I've said before, I mean, they may have meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. I wrote an article about that, which I believe the Daily Graphic published in 2009. And I meant every word of that article. God meant it for good, because the things that I went through, I went through a whole new legal education in the University of Nsawam, as I described it. Because really, you know, some of the things that I learned from experiences of other people who had been through our legal system and so on, you know, taught me so much about, you know, what I had been studying and I had been teaching as a lawyer myself. So I harbor no grudge whatsoever, no bitterness of any kind. And I, you know, really must only end by saying that I think it's important also for those who are just interested to criticize or to condemn and so on. It's important for them to open their minds to the truth about whatever I've been involved with, whether at GMPC or in my life as a university lecturer and so on. I think it's important for them to be open to the truth about what I've done, and to recognize that what service I've offered to this country, I've offered, you know, in all humility, with, you know, an open heart and with whatever talents God has given me to do my best for my country.